Here I am again, Andy XL, back with another NFXL podcast, and with 2026 NFL Draft looking ahead here again. And this is going to be my mock draft 2.0. So back after week 8 of the regular season, I did my first mock where I predicted who would have the first 8 picks of the 2026 draft and what they might do with them. As I said then, I see mock drafts as mere speculation and not to be taken too seriously, as who knows what plans each team has. For instance, who saw Jacksonville jumping up to the pick 2 last season to take Travis Hunter? And what about the Falcons moving up to take Michael Penix the year before? You can't predict these things in mock drafts, so it's really just a game we're playing. But in this mock draft 2.0, I will reduce the speculation by sticking to the known facts of who owns the first 18 picks. I will present their options and then tell you what I would do if I were them. So let's get straight into it. And the Las Vegas Raiders own pick 1. The Raiders have the 32nd ranked run offense, despite having, in my opinion, the offensive rookie of the year in Ashton Gionte at running back. And they have also seen their quarterback get sacked a league leading 64 times this season, if leading is the right word there, both of which tells us that they have the worst O-line in the league. That partly mitigates the poor performance of Geno Smith at quarterback, and with Pete Carroll gone, Smith's future with the Raiders has to be in doubt. The Raiders have a very healthy 88 million in cap space available to them. A dent would be put in that if they let Smith go and paid, I think it's 8 to 18 million that would cost them in dead money. So the first question they need to answer is, do they like either of Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore, if Moore joins this draft, enough to jettison Smith? If they do, that will be what they do with pick 1, take the QB1 off the board. If they're not convinced, then they should look to trade back with a team that desperately needs a quarterback. The Jets at pick 2, Arizona at 3, Cleveland at 6, or even Miami at 11 might pay the price. If it were the Jets, they also hold the 16 pick in this draft, so maybe the Raiders could get that as part of the trade package. I personally am not convinced Mendoza or Moore are true first overall pick material, so if I were the Raiders, I would trade back with the Jets to get the 16th pick and go with the second overall, then stick with Geno Smith for next season. In the last 2 years, the Raiders have adopted a take the best player available policy in taking Brock Bowers and Ashton Gionte in the first round, and they may well do the same with picks 2 and 16 in a draft. So with pick 2, I would say that's Caleb Downs. Both their safeties are entering the final year of their current deals in 2026. That's the Raiders' safeties. So in my first pick, sorry, in my first mock, I had the Raiders taking an OT with the 7th pick. Well, now they've got the 1. I suggest they trade back to 2 and take Caleb Downs. Right, pick 2, there's the New York Jets. Now, all that reading the Raiders trading back is reliant on the Jets wanting to trade up for a quarterback. If both Mendoza and Moore enter the 2026 draft, the Jets may say we will take either, so no need to trade up. If they clearly prefer one of these, or say Dante Moore stays at Oregon for another year, they may be more inclined to trade up to beat the Browns or Arizona or etc. to the QB1, which I see as Mendoza from this class. 2 reasons there for the Jets to make the move, even though in my thoughts it cost them the 16th pick and a future pick or picks as a result. So if I were the Jets, I would move up for the quarterback I want, even though I don't see them as first overall. I don't think the Jets are in such a dire situation they have to do it, which is exactly what I had them doing in my first mock draft with Mendoza. The Jets are just a mess, as I say, at the moment. So making the splash move at least gives them some hope for the future. With the 3rd overall pick. Now, I had the Cardinals at pick 8 in my first mock draft and had them taking running back Jeremiah Love with that pick. James Conner being the wrong side of 30 and about to enter the final year of his contract and having missed a lot this season injured. So making an option to trade him away, an appealing one. Now, Jeremiah Love looks to be an exceptional talent, but is he good enough to go at pick 3 in this draft? Like the Raiders, they need to improve an O-line, they being the Cardinals, that in their case has allowed 59 sacks and not helped their 29th ranked run offense much either, albeit that partly being down to both Conner and Trey Benson making a combined 7 appearances this season. Elsewhere, outside of Josh Sweat, they do not have any pass rushers to speak of either, apart from the near 40-year-old Calais Campbell. So that could be an option here too in the formidable shape of Ruben Bain. And of course, there is the quarterback question. With Kyler Murray apparently on his way out of Arizona, would they roll with Jacoby Brissett for 2026 and look to spend a day two pick or later on a possible successor long term, or go after one in this draft? Plenty of options, but they will not have a great deal of cap space to work with. So I would keep Connor for that reason, and Trey Benson. Obviously, they've got that as well, as Connor will be a pretty cheap option for them in 2026. For similar reasons, I would go with Brissett at quarterback. Part of that thinking being that they are trying to catch three really good teams in the NFC West, and they're unlikely to bridge that gap in 1 year. Now, passing on Love hurts because I think he probably is good enough to go at 3 in this draft, but it is the right move, all things considered. And do what you can to improve the O line via free agency or later picks. So, if I were the Cardinals, I would take Ruben Bain with this pick. Um, Pick 4 belongs to the Tennessee Titans. And here are another team with O-line issues. The Titans ranked 30th for rush offense, and Cam Ward has survived getting sacked 55 times in his rookie year. Just like the Cardinals, they have a veteran running back who's about to enter the final year of a contract in Tony Pollard, who they could trade away and go for Jeremiah Love here. But Ward has showed plenty of ability and toughness this year to justify prioritising the O-line above that possible running back need. Ward's been good enough to say, let's give him some protection, let's back him. If the Raiders have gone O-line at pick 2, the Titans might look to trade back a few spots and still take the second O-lineman in this draft. Would Cleveland or Miami make the moves to say get Dante Moore here? Quite possibly. But as I don't have the Raiders doing that, I don't have them taking an offensive tackle. I have the Titans taking their own lineman here before they can get an offer they cannot refuse. And they ain't no band leader, to quote The Godfather. In my first mock, the Titans traded out a pick 1 with the Jets to take Ruben Bain, but I have them taking an O lineman here. Just scanning down to see because I've neglected. Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle from Miami, is who I would take if I was Tennessee at 4. So the 5th pick belongs to the New York Giants. The Giants' lowest rankings are pass offense and run defense. The pass offense being partly attributable to inconsistent and poor quarterback play for a variety of sources, and Malik Neighbors getting hurt. So sorting out the run defense would seem to be their most pressing issue here, making Arvell Reese at inside linebacker or Peter Woods at defensive tackle the best options available with this pick. Now the Giants have Bobby Okereke at inside linebacker. He's about to enter the last year of his deal and he's closing on 30, but defensive tackle Roy Robertson Harris is in the same situation contract-wise and will be 33 by the time the season starts. So for that reason, I would plug Peter Woods in alongside Sexy Dexy at defensive tackle. Now, in my first mock, I had the Giants taking Caleb Downs with pick 3, but obviously they're a couple of picks later now, hence the change. So pick 6 belongs to the Cleveland Browns. Pick 6, that's appropriate for them probably. Which all means the Browns get to go quarterback again with this pick and take Dante Moore, doesn't it? But what if Moore doesn't enter this draft? The Browns quarterbacks have been sacked 51 times this season, and their run offense ranks 26th in the league. But part of the sacks issues is down to an immobile veteran quarterback in Joe Flacco, or rookies holding the ball too long and the run game too long. And the run game should improve too, with Quinshon Judkins going into his second season. So maybe not O-line with his pick then. Pass offense has been their other issue, again partly down to poor quarterback play, but they lack a true wide receiver 1, so could be in a good spot to go that way in this class. But right now, let us assume Moore is in this draft. And therefore, the Browns take him and push Shedeur Sanders' nose out of joint and into the backup role. So that's what I would do if I were them here. In the first mock, I had them taking Mauigoa, the offensive tackle, with pick 4. But again, there was a couple of spots later now, so different decision. Pick 7 belongs to the Washington Commanders. Defense is the major area of weakness for the Commanders. Their run offense was very good this season, and their pass offense will improve plenty when Jaden Daniels is back at quarterback. Although Deebo Samuel is about to hit free agency, so may well need replacing at wide receiver, as they might well have to do with Zach Ertz at tight end. On the defensive side, Bobby Wagner is another in his mid-30s about to hit free agency, and with three safeties about to enter the final year of their contracts, that is another area that needs attention. Parking the wide receiver and tight end issues till later rounds seems to make sense here, meaning Arvell Reese, who can play inside linebacker or safety, makes sense and give the Commanders options in terms of who they seek to retain or extend on the defensive side. So I would take Reese if I was Washington at pick 7 in this mock. I did not have Washington taking it, having a top 8 pick in my first mock, so there's no change essentially. New Orleans Saints have the 8th pick. The Saints have a decent enough defense. Tyler Shugg will be their quarterback. They need to find a wide receiver too to partner Chris Olave, but more pressingly, with Alvin Kamara a fading memory at running back for the Saints, how can they pass on Jeremiah Love here? Well, it's simple. They can't. Take Love. I had them taking Peter Woods at defensive tackle with pick 4 in my first draft. But now they're at 8. Different decision. Right, pick 9 belongs to the Kansas City Chiefs, believe it or not. Edge and the O-line could be areas the Chiefs look at this off-season. But reaching this conclusion may be too simple thinking. But with the likely retirement of Travis Kelce, spending around one pick on the clear tight end one in this class seems to make sense. Hard act to follow, Kelce, but Kenyon Sadiq will be grinning all over his face if he got the chance to do so. And the Panthers may take him at pick 9, but I'll come back to it later. They may have an opportunity to train back and still get him. Pick 10 belongs to the Cincinnati Bengals. O-line to help the run game and, more importantly, reduce the risk of losing quarterback Joe Burrow to injury has to be on the Bengals' to-do list. But the defensive need may trump that here. Trey Hendrickson may be about to leave via free agency, and Joseph Ossai is also a pending free agent, so replacing them on the edge could be an option here. And they have a young secondary who they may still hope to see improvement from. So I have them taking Keldrick Falk at edge here, even though they took Shamar Stewart and he's missed all of this season, injured last season. I think they'll go again at edge in this draft. That's what I would do anyway. Pick 11 belongs to the Miami Dolphins. Tua's heading out of town. Mendoza and Moore have gone off the board. So it's Quinn Ewers or a veteran addition at quarterback for the Dolphins rather than taking one here, I would suggest. I don't see a third round one quarterback in this draft class. The Dolphins are in a bad place salary cap wise, so Tyreek Hill not coming back may help them in that regard. But then replacing him with this pick is definitely an option. Other than that, they have another impending free agents in their secondary, so cornerback or safety are other positions they could look at. But I think they will be unable to resist the temptation to move on from Tyreek Hill, who may even retire, and go wide receiver, taking the wide receiver in this draft, Jordan Tyson. So that's what I would do here. And I had them doing exactly the same, taking Tyson in my first mock, but with the 6th pick. So now they get him at 11. So that seems good, doesn't it? Right, pick 12 belongs to the Dallas Cowboys. Right, Jerry. Assuming you get George Pickens back, you have all you need on offense, but your defense still ranks 27th against the run, and your pass defense is even worse, ranking 31st in the lead. Donovan Wilson is about to hit free agency as a safety. You have let Deron Bland go and could upgrade at nickel too. So surely you go for an addition in your secondary here. Oh, and by the way, you still have a Micah Parsons size hole to fill on your D line. Safety is really not an option with Caleb Downs gone. So cornerback in the shape of Manziel, Delaney or Jamal McCoy are options to look at. But how about David Bailey off the edge from Texas Tech? And that is what I would do if I were Jerry. Fill that Parsons, or try to fill that Micah Parsons size hole. Indeed, if there was an inkling the Bengals might take the edge guy you want before you get there, that's where I can see KC and Dallas maybe doing a swap of 9 and 12 picks. KC would still then be able to get Sadiq at 12. Pick 13 belongs to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams got this pick when Atlanta traded up to get James Pierce last year, and now have 2 first-round picks to augment what is already one of the best rosters in the NFL. At some point, they need to find a long-term successor to Matt Stafford at quarterback. Excuse me, just a quick drink. So apart from looking for Stafford at quarterback, and this does not look to be the spot to do that. So they'll probably look at their weakest area, which is their pass defense. And with Kobe Durant and Akello Witherspoon both about to hit free agency, bringing in a cornerback seems to make perfect sense. So they get to take the cornerback one here. And right now I have that as Mansour Delaney out of LSU. Pick 14 belongs to the Baltimore Ravens. Pass offense and defense have been the weaker areas in the Ravens' poor season. A full season of Lamar Jackson will help the pass offense, but adding another wide receiver would help too. When healthy, their secondary is actually really good, but they could do with adding a serious edge rusher. But with three of them off the board, the Ravens should probably go wide receiver here. As they have Zay Flowers as a slot type guy, Mackay Lemon is too similar to him. So therefore, Carnell Tate might be a good fit here as the bigger receiver to go with Flowers and deep threat Tez Walker. Keep my throat going. Pick 15 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. An injury-plagued O-line and poor pass defense did for the Bucs in 2025. With wide receiver Mike Evans, plus veteran D lineman Levante David and Hassan Reddick, plus cornerback Jamal Dean hitting free agency, the Bucs have a few options as to how to fill which holes to fill here. You have to assume Evans will be back for another go around. So inside linebacker, edge or cornerback are the most likely positions they look at here, alongside possibly bolstering that O-line, which has been flaky due to injury. Dean may well be back, and they have already have two young cornerbacks in place, so adding another may not be the wisest option. So Sonny Styles at inside linebacker or TJ Parker on the edge may be the one to choose from on defense. But I just see the O-line as the more pressing issue, especially given Tristan Wirfs' perennial injury woes. So with Spencer Fanu being able to play either right or left tackle position, I would take him if I were the Bucs. Pick 16 belongs to the Las Vegas Raiders, and they got this by trading back out of pick 1, as I mentioned earlier. So all hypothetical this, and followed they take the best player available policy of recent drafts by taking Caleb Downs in, as I mocked it. The Raiders need to address their O-line issues here, having not done so with that pick, and do so by taking Caden Proctor, the left tackle from Alabama. Pick 17 is the Detroit Lions. As one of the best teams to miss out in the postseason, this mid-first round pick gives the Lions a chance to improve their biggest weakness, namely their pass defense. And with three of their cornerbacks hitting free agency this offseason, taking a cornerback makes even more sense here. Given Dan Campbell's love for attacking, even when he's on defense, Jamuk McCoy is the type of big play cornerback he may love to have. But he will need to show he has recovered well from a torn ACL that saw him miss all of this college season. So if they're not reassured on that front, Avion Terrell out of Clemson is a smaller cornerback, but is another fine cornerback prospect that they could add here. Pick 18 belongs to the Minnesota Vikings, and this is the last pick I'll go through in this mock. The Vikings roster does not have any holes to fill in it. Many holes, I should say. It does have some, but the retirement of Harrison Smith may leave one at safety. And with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason having 1 year left on their current running back deals, that could be another area to look at this off-season. The same could be said of Javon Hargrave at defensive tackle. Maybe they could look at an interior or lineman too to help their run offense. This is not a good spot to look at safety or running back, and to a lesser extent, interior O-line too. But there is a really good run stuff in defensive tackle they could look at, and that's where I would go. That's Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. So that's my rationale for my mocking. And just to go repeat back over it, this is how I mock the first 18 picks. Pick 1, the New York Rays trade up to get that with the Raiders and then take Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback out of Indiana. The Raiders, having traded back to pick 2, take Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State. Pick 3, the Arizona Cardinals take Ruben Bain, edge Miami. 4, Tennessee Titans take Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle out of Miami. 5, the New York Giants take Peter Woods, the defensive tackle from Clemson. At pick 6, Cleveland Browns take Dante Moore, the quarterback out of Oregon. Pick 7 is the Washington Commanders, where they go Arvell Reese, inside linebacker, Ohio State. Pick 8 is New Orleans Saints, where they get to take Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame. Pick 9, or it could be 12, if they swap with the Cowboys. The Chiefs take their Travis Kelce successor, Kenyon Sadiq, at tight end out of Oregon. Pick 10, Cincinnati Bengals go Keldrick Falk, the edge guy out of Auburn. Miami Dolphins take Jordan Tyson as the first wide receiver from Arizona State. Dallas Cowboys take David Bailey, the edge rusher from Texas Tech. Los Angeles Rams then go cornerback with Mansour Delaney out of LSU. Pick 14, the Baltimore Ravens take Carnell Tate, the Ohio State wide receiver. Pick 15, Tampa Bay Buccaneers take an offensive tackle in Spencer Fano out of Utah. Pick 16, which the Raiders picked up as part of that trade back from 1 to 2 from the Jets. They then take an offensive tackle, Caden Proctor out of Alabama. With pick 17, I've got the Detroit Lions going Jermod McCoy, assuming he's healthy. I forgot Avion Terrell if he's not proved to be healthy. McCoy's out of Tennessee. Terrell's out of Clemson. Pick 18, Minnesota Vikings take Caden McDonald's, defensive tackle and great run stuffer from Ohio State. So that's obviously the first 18 picks. I will add the next 6 picks to this mock and do a mock draft 3.0 after we know who will have picks 19 to 24 following wildcard week's results. So that's my latest mock, and I'll come back with another one next week. See you soon.